Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in Jew. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. The dceu. Welcome to the dceu extra, by the way. But the dceu, what a fucking conundrum. Have you ever heard of a movie franchise or TV franchise that has so much love to it, so much hate to it, the divisive nature, the arguments between the fandom? We actually argue between each other what's good and what's bad and what should be done, and we even argue with each other because some of us are trying to create some kind of boycott for what's going on with the dceu right now, and people like me are saying, no, don't do that, it won't help what you want to do. And because I've always said this, if you think Zack Snyder's coming back and taking over from where he left off just because those films don't work out, and you can't affect those films anyway, because what's going on now is the mainstream really like Wonder Woman, really like Aquaman, and loved Shazam. It wasn't a big film, it was an Ant-Man kind of box office situation, but people who saw it really enjoyed it, and they want more of it, and they're going to get more of it, right? But what a fucking conundrum the DCEU is. This is a kind of think piece, if you like. A relaxing video. I don't have any articles. I don't have any new information. But I want to go back to 2013. Think about 2013 and Man of Steel. Think about those trailers when you watched them. I'm talking and appealing to people who didn't know anything about Zack Snyder, because neither did I. I didn't know who the fuck he was. A lot of people saying, oh, fucking Snyder, man. Oh, no, he's doing a Superman film. This is going to fucking stink. People were saying this, I was surrounded. But I had seen 300 and I had seen Watchmen. Films I really, really enjoyed. I wasn't going back to watch them again and again and again. But they were really good fucking films, right? So when I knew he was the director who did those films, I was like, what the fuck? What's people's problems, man? So I think 300... was a graphic novel as well, wasn't it? And definitely we know what Watchmen were. And I think the people who love the graphic novels didn't think Snyder did right by those graphic novels. But that's not just Zack Snyder. That's lots of people who take kind of books and comics and adapt them. There's always going to be complaints of why didn't you do this? Oh, this character is wrong. And things like that. Oh, my God, this character kills, and in the comics he doesn't. Of course, more on that later on, because that was going to be a very big thing within Snyder's DCEU universe. But I think it's quite fascinating that everything positive and negative is put at Snyder's door. Snyder had nothing to do with any of the narrative of Man of Steel. Snyder was in total control of the look, the way it was directed, the way the actors performed. Of course, that was him. But let me be clear to you from the off that David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan were running the narrative of this. It was literally, look, Deb and Zach, this is what we want to do with the film. Are you interested? Are you okay with this? Do you want to come on board? Because Deb and Zach said publicly they weren't sure about doing a Superman film because they couldn't think of a good way of doing a Superman film, and they didn't want to make a bad Superman movie. Some people will say, well, you actually did. I say you fucking made an awesome film, right? So basically, the narrative, the killing of Zod, all of that, none of that was down to Snyder. Maybe it was Snyder's idea to break his neck right instead of something else. I don't know. That's never really been discussed. That's something I'd love to ask Zach, actually. But really, if you don't like Man of Steel, and obviously the directorial things like the camera wobbling up and down, him literally running around with a single camera, and even Russell Crowe said, this guy's fucking amazing because you just don't do this on a film of this size. Even Russell Crowe was in awe of Zack Snyder and said, him and Michael Shannon were like, singing his praises, saying, and people were saying, do you want to do a Krypton movie? And they were going, if Zack Snyder's doing it, of course we're fucking do it. Why wouldn't we? So for me, Man of Steel is a beautiful film, but if you don't like the narrative, you put the narrative on the door of Nolan and Goyer. If you like it, you say well done to them. And if you hate it, you have to put it at their door. Now, if you don't like the shaky camera stuff and the visual stuff, that's down to Zack. So for me, Man of Steel is a unique film, a very different film. It's not the way I would have made a Superman film, no way. But I tell you what, I really enjoy it. I think it's amazing. I think it's an amazing film, and I've watched it so many times. and Superman fucking looks like Superman. Now you can be you can be upset about the design of the suit, a bit dark, a bit too. I don't know what you don't like about it. Basically, it's not a comic book suit. That's clear. But the guy looks like fucking Superman in it. He looks fucking amazing. Now, Man of Steel is about a man. He's a bit like me, really, but I haven't got superpowers. My parents are Greek Cypriot. They came to the UK as youngsters. They had me. I don't look British, right? I sound British, but I don't look British because in my bloodstream is Greek Cypriot DNA, right? So Clark's like me, Man of Steel. He's this guy who at first doesn't know where he's from. He's travelling the world. He goes from place to place, getting job to job. I love the flashback in the bar, by the way. This sums up lots of my life, and this is why I emphasise with this film. The whole point is he's an elite. Actually, Clark Kent and Superman are illegal immigrants, and nobody outside the Kents actually get this. I don't even think Lois Lane knows that the guy's an illegal immigrant. Nobody does. And even in the comics, I don't think anybody gets that this guy's an illegal immigrant. Now, I wasn't an illegal immigrant, but we've got to look at that, right? So you've got this illegal immigrant character, right? And that's what Superman is. But he decides, because of his upbringing and who he is, to protect people. That's beautiful. So someone who legally shouldn't be in the country is actually upholding the law. The irony of that. I'm someone who believes that human beings live on the planet Earth. We're from the planet Earth. And we should be able to be wherever we want to be. Obviously, issues of overcrowding have to be sorted out. But anyway, that's a subject for another thing. So Clark Kent is travelling the world. He's trying to find himself. But within the backflashes, we realise that Jonathan Kent tells him who he is and where he's from. And then one of the most beautiful moments in this film happens. He goes to, you prove that there is life in space and all that, right? Life on other planets. He goes, I don't want to be. Can't I just pretend that I'm your son? So Jonathan Kent, played by Costner, does a brilliant thing here. He cuddles him and he goes, you are my son. Very emotional. Emotional for my brother, who's got 2 adopted children. They found it very kind of emotional and hard to watch in a good way. And then there's that bit in the truck, isn't there? When, Jonathan wants Clark to be a farmer, and he goes, well, I'm not sure I want to be that. I'm not your, and then he starts saying to him, I'm not your son, and all that. He goes below the belt because they're having this little argument. And just after that, of course, Jonathan Kent gets killed in this tornado, where Clark, a young Clark Kent, sees his father becoming a hero. Now, a lot of people criticise this moment. So a lot of people criticise the dog moment. But dogs are very important to families. So don't fucking give me you wouldn't go back to save your dog. Maybe they could have thought of another kind of contrived reason for him to have to go back to the truck. But anyway, dogs and pets are important. So fuck off, right? So Jonathan goes back. He's caught there. Now, Clark has a choice to make. He wants to go and save his father. But Jonathan doesn't want him to do that. He doesn't want the world to see who he is. So critics of the film say, but he could have just sped. Superman is fast, but he's not the Flash. If he's standing there, you're going to see him. The truth of the matter is, it's interesting to think how many people were actually watching Jonathan Kent. You can pull it to pieces like that, but ultimately, Jonathan doesn't want to take any risks. Jonathan doesn't, in this split-second situation, Jonathan says, no, I'm happy to die. He doesn't say that, but he's happy to die to keep his son's secret. And this is not the first time a live-action Superman story has done this. It happened with Jonathan Kent's death in Smallville. He was happy to sacrifice his life and fighting Jonathan Kent and causing his heart to rupture, right, to keep Clark's secret in Smallville. So this has happened before, but in a different way. So I love the element. I love the sacrifice. I actually loved it that it wasn't just another weak old man having a heart attack. He makes a decision and he sacrifices himself for his son. Now, of course, Clark doesn't see it that way. He doesn't like what his dad did, the way he speaks to Lois about it after the flashback. So it's a very interesting story, and I have no criticism of that moment. I think it's a fucking dramatic moment. Shut up, it's a bloody phone. But I think, I always, I leave this phone in here. So I think it's a very emotional moment, a very beautiful moment. And I really like it. I think it means a lot to me. because of the sacrifice. So it's very compelling. Because really, Superman is a lot about fathers and sons. We saw in Smallville, Lionel and Lex, Clark and Jonathan, right? And we see that in this as well. We see this is about Cal and Jor-El, and I love the way he calls him Cal, because you see that a lot in the comics as well. So it was kind of cool that they integrated the Cal thing as well. Cal is his first name. El is his surname, like us humans. So, and I like the way they did it. Kal-El. They separate. It's not Kal-El, it's Kal-El. So they actually did a lot from the comics in this film. And if you blinked, you would have missed it. So despite what people think, there's a lot of loyalty to the comics here. Really, really good. But also, Man of Steel is really Superman Begins. You know, Nolan and Goya did Batman Begins. Now, this is very different. But in Batman Begins as well, Bruce Wayne is experimenting criminal culture. Well, basically, Superman is travelling the world to try and see if he can figure out where he's from, if there's any clues. I mean, he's thinking to himself, you know, there's got to be more out there, so I can piece it together. So this is why he's travelling the world. So when he's working in the bar, he's working in a bar where a lot of the kind of military go in there, and he thinks maybe I'll hear something. And he does. The Canadians say, because I think they're in Canada, and he goes, the Americans have found something. So he overhears that. So he's piecing it all together. So already we can see that this Clark Kent, this Cal, is a very, very clever young guy. And so he figures out, but also I love what they do with Lois Lane in this film, because in they've always tried to make Lois Lane a strong, independent woman, because that's what she is, and she's awesome, right? Some people get it wrong in live action, because in the end if she speaks too much and she's too rude and abrupt, she looks like a bitch. But Amy Adams' Lois Lane is totally brilliant. So I love what her and Perry White, how they argue, their dynamic. That really is Lois and Perry at its core. And I think he is the best Perry White. Now, I love Jackie Cooper as Perry White, but this is something different. And I like there's two really good actors going at it, and that's brilliant. And I mean, he announced he wasn't going to be in Justice League. He said, you don't want to see me around. But the thing is, I love him. I think he's awesome in Man of Steel. And even in BVS, when he's going at it with Clark, that's so good and so enjoyable. So I love that element as well. But really, this is kind of Superman Begins. So what you've got this guy wearing the Superman costume. But he's no way ready to wear the Superman costume. He doesn't have any training. Zod does, right? So he's wearing this costume. So it's basically, I don't know, it's like a soldier who hasn't had any training yet. One minute he's this young guy trying to discover himself around the world. Then he puts his costume on, and because as far as he knows, he doesn't know any other heroes. He's the only one who can deal with this. The Flash is somewhere hiding because he's not ready yet. Aquaman's nowhere near ready. And from what we see of Aquaman in Justice League, he's nowhere near ready and mature enough to help anyone, right? So it's kind of realistic there. And so you've got this alien invasion story, and people don't know. You see, I love it. I love the Colonel, right? I love the Colonel. I love all the soldiers, kind of the colonels, kind of the lieutenants in this film, or whatever titles they've got. So you've got Hardy. Is it Colonel Hardy or whatever it is, right? He's so good. Because for the first time, because when you do these alien invasion things and you've got these army types always so stiff with no personality, but I loved the army types here. They were so good. And even the younger guy, he goes, they got Superman in tow. Superman? That's what they're calling the alien. I fucking love that bit. That bit's so fucking awesome. It always makes me laugh. And that actor's from Smallville as well. So that's really cool. I really like that. I think that's amazing. And I love that bit. And I liked kind of, because there's a general and a colonel, isn't there? And I forgot both the actors' names because I'm getting old and I'm forgetting stuff. But they're both so good. And both characters and performances are fucking memorable and so wonderful. And obviously you get kind of, is it the Colonel guy who's in Batman v Superman and he's arguing with Lois Lane and in the end he helps her. He's a really good character. And by the way, a really good actor as well. So you've got really good supporting roles. But of course, you've got no Jimmy Olsen, which I don't agree with, by the way. A lot of people think that Jimmy Olsen is not important. I do. And he would be in my Superman movie. But that's a discussion for another time. Doesn't mean I don't like Man of Steel. I still fucking love it. But Jimmy Olsen is important because this is an ordinary young boy who becomes friends with the greatest hero in creation. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit like Doctor Who, really, Jimmy Olsen. He's the companion. He's our way into the story. Anyway, that's my opinion. Anyway, it doesn't have to be yours. Comment down below. We can talk all about this. So you've got this visual, great Superman movie, but what they've done is they've set it up in the real world. This is how it would be. So they're fighting. The Kryptonians and Superman are fighting, right? Of course, Superman's a Kryptonian too. And so they go to the general or the colonel or whatever. They go, right, what about the guy in the blue? I said, all of them. Shoot all of them, right? So that's realistic. They don't know who he is or what he is. They don't know what his intentions are. So he's a fucking alien. He's using his powers. All hell is breaking loose. And by the way, another favourite moment of mine. You think you can threaten my mother? Oh, man. That's Superman. That's supercharged Superman with emotions. A lot of people say, why is Superman like that? Superman's not normally like that. They tried to do in this film something, I'm not sure how successful they were at. They tried to amp his personality and his reactions. And one of his reactions is to get angry because someone's fucking bullying his mum. And that's exactly how you would act. So his mother, the relationship between parents is very important within the DCEU. And I think that's right and proper. And I think it's done really well. As I say, I'm not sure they gave Clark and Superman enough of a personality in this kind of DCEU franchise, but they certainly tried to make him more relatable, for him to get angry at times, because you would. If someone's bullying your mother, you would. It's one of my favourite moments. I've got a lot, haven't I? But another one of my favourite moments is when he's trying to stop the world engine, and you get that moment when you got Perry and the other guy, right? The pervy guy who's trying to get Jenny out of where she's trapped, right? So you get this big Zimmer music, right? Very emotional. And Superman's standing there. And this is the moment how Cavill, for me, becomes Superman. The music becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And ultimately, he flies towards the world engine. The music gets powerful and more emotional, and he destroys it. And that, my friend, is when Cavill really, truly becomes Superman. It really is a heroic moment. Not only does he save the world, he saves Jenny from dying, right? Now, I don't know how they get her out of there, but yeah. And I actually like Jenny, and we're never going to know she's Jenny Olsen or not, but she's a good little character. So I don't know if she was Jenny Olsen. You see, I wouldn't have minded. At first, I was kind of pissed off about it because of the actor. She did a really good job, and I kind of liked her, and I thought she kind of, it worked for the Man of Steel universe anyway. So for me, these are my memories of Man of Steel, big Superman fan. And I really like it. And as I say, this is a kind of relaxed think piece. I'm just going back, looking at the DCEU. So then we get this amazing film. So obviously, half the critics love Man of Steel, half of them hate it. Half the public hate it, half the people love it. But it's made around 600 million. They've decided to do a franchise of it. Warner Brothers go, we can't just cancel this again. Let's carry on. So then they announce at SDCC, or whatever you call it, San Diego Comic-Con, right? Better call it that. They announced they're doing a Batman v Superman. They get the guy who plays one of the army guys in Man of Steel to quote something from the comics. Wow, wow, wow. Everyone's excited. But all the haters start saying the only reason Batman v Superman is in the Man of Steel sequel is the only reason Batman's in the Man of Steel sequel is because Man of Steel didn't do very well, because Man of Steel should have done $1 billion, whatever, right? At that time, before Marvel started killing it with origin movies by making every fucking film the same and bringing in other characters to do cameos, origin movies could only average around 500-600 million anyway. And the only reason Marvel ones do so well is because they bring in other characters from their universe, mostly, and that's the reason. It's the connectivity. So you drag them in, and this is how it works. But before that, really, 500-600 million is brilliant for an origin movie. But I do agree that Superman movies should be making a lot more money, but it didn't. But it still did well, right? So they were ready. they were ready to go on. So they did Batman v Superman. We'll never know if Batman was introduced because they were worried, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's real. I don't think that's the case. I think they were always doing a BVS. Now, of course, the whole thing with BVS before we saw it, a lot of people were saying, well, you know, isn't this a bit silly? Why can't Batman have his own movie first? Give us a proper Man of Steel sequel. And it's because mainly Warner Brothers were rushing to create a franchise. So they wanted to introduce us to Batman very quickly. Whether doing BVS as a kind of Man of Steel sequel, they were trying to kill two birds with one stone here. Give us a Man of Steel sequel and introduce Batman at the same time. It was kind of clever if you can pull it off. And they kind of pulled it off. They kind of didn't pull it off, if you like. But they did it. Personally, I think that it was the second movie. It was kind of interesting to me why they decided to bring Superman back so quickly after we just had a Superman film. And I love Superman. I'll watch the fuck out of Superman as many times as I can. But I would have thought, you know, give Batman that origin movie, or even do something a bit unconventional and do a Green Lantern movie next, or, you know, a Flash movie or an Aquaman movie. Introduce the other Justice League members. So I think maybe doing a Man of Steel sequel and a Batman kind of movie together maybe was a mistake straight off the bat. I love Batman v Superman. It's a fucking amazing film, in my opinion. Doesn't have to be your opinion. Again, we'll state that. It's just in case for the slow thinkers out there. But I think probably the next origin film, they should have just gone along and done these individual movies. Now, of course, what we'll never know is if they would have pulled this direction off, this way of introducing the Justice Leaguers, because we had Batman v Superman, we had the CCTV stuff, we saw the picture of Wonder Woman with Chris Pine and the other guys, right? So we had all that. So the only way we would have known if that way was a good way is if we ever see Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, to see if you can kind of do these mini origins within a Justice League movie. Will it work? Very difficult way of doing it, by the way, but we'll never know. You can't judge something until you've seen the full extent of it. So very interesting, but I do think that they should have done 5 or 6 individual movies, then did a Justice League. But WB and Kevin Sugihara were too much in a rush. They were pressuring Zack. They were pressuring Jeff Johns. It was very difficult. And also you had this situation where, is Zack Snyder in charge? Is Jeff Johns in charge? Who's fucking running this thing? Too many cooks spoil the broth. We've had that discussion again. So Batman v Superman, I mean, it is a very, very different superhero movie. It's not what I expected. It's not what you expected. But for those of us who liked it, we were cool with it, weren't we? We were like, wow, this is fucking amazing. This is so unique. The way it looks, the story structure of the film, this is amazing. And a lot of people said, well, this is more Batman than Superman. I don't agree. I think it's half Superman and half Batman, and it really works. They both get kind of their moments to shine, to tell their stories, to show us what the public think of them. This is as much Superman's story and it is Batman's story. And ultimately, how can you say when Superman sacrifices his life at the end that this is nothing to do with Superman? This is everything to do with Superman. But also, they demonstrate Batman's frustration with Superman. And then you've got this great kind of narrative with Lex Luthor pulling the strings, even though people don't like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Again, someone I wouldn't have cast, but he did a really good job. He's one of the greatest actors of this generation, like it or not, and he pulled it off. He doesn't look like the Lex Luthor we're used to, or even act like him, but he's still got his intellect. He still hates Superman, probably hates Superman as much as Lex Luthor does in the comics, right? So that was very realistic, but I think what Eisenberg did was amazing. Great actor. And he pulled off his role and recently said he probably won't be playing Lex again. Not from choice, by the way. It's not his fault. Looks like we will get a new Lex eventually. And we've spoken about Vincent D'Onofrio from Daredevil, Kingpin, a.k.a. But we'll see what happens there. So Batman v Superman is this great kind of indie-style movie. Think about the ultimate of this in 3 hours of this independent kind of twist on DC. So you've got, you know, Batman getting frustrated. You've got Superman, you know, trying to be a hero, but again, doubting himself and seeing how half the world fucking hate him. How these politicians don't like him acting I hate this fucking word. Unilaterally. That's it. I got it. So, because I've talked about this before, haven't we? So, Batman v Superman is a very interesting movie, but of course, we also get introduced to Diana, aka Wonder Woman. I think it's a great introduction. It is a very serious film. It is a very emotional film. It is about these characters. And yes, he dresses them down. But he rises them up again. Again, we've had this discussion. Nobody really should be... I think, look, I was going to say no one should be disappointed with this film. I think that's a bit arrogant of me to say that. I think people wanted to see a film, a proper superhero film. They wanted to see Batman and Superman fighting, then making friends, then uniting against Lex Luthor or Doomsday or whatever, which basically happens, right? So this wasn't the film that people wanted. But it doesn't make it a bad film. It just makes it a different film. Some people gobbled it up. Some people hated it. And that was the problem that they had. They had the problem that this film made under $1 billion. Now, it's still good money, but not good enough for a film of Batman and Superman. We must be honest. We mustn't pretend. We mustn't delude ourselves, because I really like Batman v Superman. And as I said before, if it was marketed properly, we would have seen something, well, I think the audience would have appreciated it a lot more. So then you kind of go to Suicide Squad, and it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Suicide Squad is deemed by the critics as not a very good film. I think if you've just sat through Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad is brilliant. Suicide Squad is the consequence of Superman not being around anymore. The whole world is chaotic. So when you get the opening bit of chaos when she's introducing all the characters, but the line she says at the beginning is so brilliant. You know, Superman, how's it go? Superman changed the world when he flew across the sky. He changed the world again when he didn't. I fucking love that line. It's so emotional. And there's a lot of kind of throwbacks to Superman narratively. And you get great moments with Batman in this. And I like the squad. And I like Waller. I like this film. I don't love this film because I'm not a Suicide Squad fan, but I like this film. It's a great addition of the DCEU. Then you jump to Wonder Woman, one of the best comic book movies you will ever see. Don't forget, this is Wonder Woman's first ever movie. They've never made a Wonder Woman film before. They really could have messed this up as much as they got it right. And I think they decided that they weren't going to do this kind of extreme left craziness of attacking men and making stupid comments publicly. So they went for the vibe of Wonder Woman is for everyone, men, women, girls, boys. They were photographing young boys wearing Wonder Woman's outfit. It was fucking awesome. And it was a really positive vibe. It's going to be very interesting if we get the same vibe. I mean, I've seen the test screening for Wonder Woman 1984. It's a fucking awesome movie. But are we going to get the positive that Wonder Woman is for everyone, or are we going to go down this Captain Marvel line where we hate all men and women? You know, we hate men have done this to women. Men have, that kind of divisive kind of thing. I don't know. I hope we don't get that toxicity because I love Gal Gadot and I love Patty Jenkins, very talented ladies, and I wouldn't want to not like them anymore because they were going at my agenda. Do you know what I mean? It's important that Hollywood drop this because it's just going to bankrupt them in the end. But Wonder Woman, as I say, one of my favourite comic book movies of all time. It really is, wow. It's a journey. You actually see somebody's fucking journey. This is very rare these days, actually, and it's a very old-fashioned way of telling a story. As soon as you see her as a little girl running around with that beautiful music, you feel some emotion for her. That's Diana. She's smiling. She wants to fight. She wants to train. And that little actor who plays her is fucking on the fucking money. She's fucking amazing. And Patty does so well with her. Then we're introduced to slightly older Diana. Then we meet Gal, like training to do her sword fighting. Fucking amazing. John Campion says that Gal Gadot's not a very good actor. Watch Wonder Woman again, mate, because her performance, and maybe Patty Jenkins helped with that. They did get on very well. There was a relationship there, and it's awesome, and you can tell that. But Gal Gadot's performance in this film is astronomically good. It's an amazing. And as I say, This is a journey of discovery for Dinah. She starts on the island, right? She leaves because, she meets Steve Trevor. He's warning them about what's going on. And Dinah says, we can't just sit here and let the world of men die. And that's a very powerful message, because they're saying, the world of men have brought this on themselves, blah, blah, blah. Let's just sit here, hide and protect ourselves. Because basically, there's an enemy that wants to kill us. So we just got to stay hidden, protect ourselves, and fuck the world of men. But Dinah says, no. This is actually what Wonder Woman or any superhero is all about. Stands up and says, no, I'm leaving. And she goes, I don't know if you ever come back if you leave. She goes, well, I've got to do this. So already she's got these heroic traits. And Gal Gadot does something very Christopher Reeve. She just seems like an upstanding hero from the first moment they introduce her. Really good. So she goes on this massive journey, right? She leaves her home. She leaves the safety of her own home. She's putting herself in danger. She knows nothing about the world of men. And she's traveling with a stranger. She kind of has a good feeling about him. And she thinks, well, fuck it. I've got to go with him. Because that's the only, he's got to be the one who shows me where to go. So it's a bit like when Obi-Wan Kenobi first meets Luke. You've got to follow me because I know where I'm going and you've never left here before, really. And so it's a bit like that. So you get some really amusing anecdotes with how she doesn't really get it. She sees a baby and she loves babies. She loves ice cream. She loves ice cream in the comics as well. So again, they're very loyal to the comics here. But this film is so good. And I've pointed this out before, how she hangs around with these men. And, these men she's introduced to. And she wants to hear their stories. She has great empathy for these guys. So basically, I love that moment when she's talking to all the guys and they're kind of confiding in her about their problems. And it's just great to see this heroic woman talking to these men, having an empathy with these men. When we see so much hate from the extreme left these days and feminists with their, pure toxic hatred for men. But when you see this heroic woman sitting there with these men, so if they do something toxic with Wonder Woman 1984 in terms of the marketing, it's not been done in the film, I can guarantee you of that. But if they do it within the marketing, it will be something very different that they didn't do before. And I don't think they'll go that direction. So it's a really beautiful looking film. And what I love about Wonder Woman and Aquaman, even though Aquaman is after the fallout of Justice League, when you look at Aquaman, that still is in the style of what Zack Snyder was doing with his other films, the way the action's shot. The effects are amazing. It looks beautiful. There's an emotional story. It's all there. And it's the same with Wonder Woman, all within Zack's vision. And again, with Suicide Squad. So really, I suppose, then you've got Aquaman, again, a great story. And something else, the casting of these characters is fucking amazing. It really is. Cavill, Affleck, Momoa, Gadot, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, all really good pieces of casting. And they all work. Now, at the moment, as far as we know, Ben Affleck is no longer Batman. I'm not sure I believe that. I think there's a way, the way they're doing it is quite clever, where you can still have Affleck as Batman, but you don't have to use him for a whole movie. And I think this is what's going to happen with the Batman. So really interesting. So you look at these films, and then you look at Shazam. Now, that's well into the Hamada era then, but they still represent and cameo what's already happened in MOS and BVS. With Freddy really obsessed with Superman, and they're referencing the DCEU Superman. And so it's very interesting, and it's a very unique franchise. It's a franchise that people who love it really are protective of it. And I really admire that. But it comes to a time where you have to say, I love this. If you don't like this, it's fine. We have the Blu-rays. There's one thing that all you people have to understand, because I'm part of you. I love these films. You have Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. They can never, no matter what happens to the DCU in the future, whatever they do to it, they mainstream it, whatever, you own Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. They can never delete those films from your heart, your soul, or from your imagination. Those films are here to stay. And it doesn't matter that Zack's arc didn't get realised. Well, of course it matters, but you still got those films. He made 2 amazing, unique superhero films. Nobody can take them away from him or take them away from us. And that's the beautiful thing here. We will always have BVS. We will always have that amazing nightmare sequence. We will always have Man of Steel. That's not going anywhere. Is it a dream that we want to see the Snyder Cut? Maybe, I don't know. But that would be great, to be able to binge this fabulous, unique franchise and have the Snyder Cut there as well. And we're fighting for the Snyder Cut. And the fight is real, and it's getting larger and larger on the kind of national kind of atmosphere that we want to put it in. But basically, there will never, ever be a franchise like the DCEU. There will never be that. And it's amazing. And the reason there'll never be one like that, because no studio would ever do this. No studio. Go to Christopher Nolan and say, you know what? We want you to kind of create this franchise. And he says, no, I'll be the godfather and I'll bring someone else to run the whole thing and vision it. And so he brings in Zack Snyder. But after a couple of movies, they don't trust Zack Snyder because he's not doing what they want him to do. So then they bring more people, and you've got all these people. Nobody knows who's in charge. He wants to do that. She wants to do that. Everyone's pulling in different directions, and this is what happened in the meanwhile. Zack's trying to be Zack and carry on his movies, and this is what went wrong. I think the greater mistake, because clearly Warner Brothers wanted to create a DCEU universe that made $1 billion a movie, and then people just ate popcorn and watched. If you do that, you don't bring in Christopher Nolan, you don't bring in Zack Snyder, and you do it a different way. Because clearly that's what Warner Brothers wanted. Or did they? Because by telling Christopher Nolan they wanted him to shepherd it and Godfather it, they knew what they were going to get, surely. So, or maybe they just saw the the $1 billion plus box office for The Dark Knight. Maybe they just saw that and they just thought, oh yeah, everyone trusts him. He's great. He's been a success for us. Let him deal with it. They just didn't see the kind of consequences of allowing Christopher Nolan to have this Godfather role, because Christopher Nolan would go to someone who would give it a certain look, because Christopher Nolan thinks a certain way about stories and movies. I don't think Warner Brothers kind of understood that. They just saw Christopher Nolan makes movies, the public trust him, $1 billion each movie. Yes, let's go. Pum, 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 pum. They just didn't see what they were getting by getting Christopher Nolan to decide who was going to run this thing. And then there's distrust. And then you've got too many cooks spoiling the broth. And this is what went wrong. So now you've got Walter Hamada. He's the top boy. Peter Safran is the second in command. And everybody knows their place. There's a vision. They're going to go forward with it. They're going to make solid money. Maybe not MCU money, but they're going to do well. And people will review their movies half decently. And they'll do okay. Maybe they'll have their movie one day that hits the junction and they're that popular. And this is what studios want. Now, Warner Brothers are slightly different to Disney because they do want to make real films. I think there is that. And I think this is why they're focusing on each film and each character and having franchises within a franchise. It's going to be a very interesting future. And that is my take on the DCEU. But what's your take? Please comment down below. Please like, share and subscribe. Tell your friends about me. Tell your mothers about me. Best not, they probably like me too much. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.